Can the orange and blue hit Seattle with that old 1-2 in less than a week? We get you set for the Oilers and Kraken on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. Tom Gazzola with you alongside Ben Thomson back at EST Global HQ. Matty Kassian is our game analyst tonight. He'll be stopping by in a few minutes. You can text us. You can get into the nasty chat. We want to hear from you. Join the conversation. 780-218-9999. And, of course, hit that thumbs up button if you're watching over on YouTube. Maybe you're making your way down to the game. Drive safely. It's been it's like rain, snow, slushy, slippery. So take a little bit of extra time. Turn your headlights on, as our good friend Will Fraser likes to say, and make your way safely to whatever destination you're headed to. The Oilers 11-11-5 versus Seattle 11-7-6. It is game number 28 on the schedule for the Edmonton Oilers. The Kraken have not played since that loss 4-0 in Seattle on Saturday, where the Oilers played really, really well. There's Betty Thomson as we let you know that GCL Diesel is the best provider of diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. Hello, Benny. How you doing today, pal?
Doing good, Tom. Doing good. I'm once again excited for another good game here. Well, hopefully some good action between two teams that met recently. That had a little bit of a spicy end with some rough stuff, which I'm curious to see if that carries on, I guess. And that's kind of what I know we're getting early in this, like my question of the day. But
get to it.
This is what it is. Do you expect any of the rough stuff to carry on from the previous game into tonight? I know Mason Marchment is not playing tonight for Seattle, but do you expect there to be some rough stuff tonight between the two teams?
I hope so. I mean, two Pacific Division rivals. This is the third time that they're going to face each other this season. They have one more game in March. I think it's late March, if I can recollect off the top of my head. But yeah, I would love to see some chippiness. Doesn't need to be fireworks, but it could be, some tough play. I mean, the Oilers seem more willing to engage in that type of thing lately. And I think that's a positive thing, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I'd like to see a little bit of that and see if the Oilers can impose their physical will on the Kraken. They don't really have a lot of guys that kind of do that, but they have guys who can. Obviously, Connor Clattenburg has been a bit of a spark plug. Now he hasn't. We'll see how long he plays tonight, how many minutes he gets, and how many shifts he gets. We know Trent Frederick, who has not really done that at all this year, is capable of it, but I'd like to see it just because these two teams have met recently. This was Seattle's last opponent. They haven't played since that Saturday game, and I think the Oilers probably want to bounce back after that 1-0 loss on Tuesday to Minnesota. So I'd say I hope so, and I think we'll see a little bit of that. I think losing Mason Marchment for this game today takes a bit away from that, Benny. What do you think?
For sure. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I mean, like the Mason Marchment, I think, is what started it last game, right? I don't think the players in the Oilers liked the pop that he gave Darnell Nurse. And that kind of led to some stuff where, Draisaitl's taking a flying elbow at him, or Nurse ended up wanting to fight Marchment later on that game. Clattenburg, I think his fight was more just Clattenburg wanting to be Clattenburg. I don't mind that. Yeah, and I love that. And no matter what game he's in, he's going to try to keep doing that. So I think there's a good chance we see some physicality tonight. To me, it's who on the other side would do it. I mean, I don't know if anyone wants to go at, Jamie Alexiak, who's 6'7" back there, but I mean, you could. If that's a guy you want to pick a fight with, I'm sure he'd tussle.
I will not acknowledge that.
But yeah, honestly, I think there's a lot of there's a good chance I think that we see some rough stuff tonight from two teams that don't really have a rivalry or anything. It's kind of just
that's a good point.
This kind of just I think would be answering from the previous game they had just a couple days ago.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Okay, let us know your thoughts. Will there be some carryover from Saturday's game between these two Pacific Division opponents? I didn't even want to call them rivals, Ben. Opponents. Cass is going to be stopping by in a couple of minutes. We've got Mike Benton from the Kraken Audio Network who's going to join us in about 20 minutes or so. Benton always with the goods, and he always delivers. So we'll catch up with Mike from the Kraken Audio Network and, of course, get to your comments, questions, if you got any, 780-218-9999, and get into the Nasty Chat. I see we've hit 13.5 thousand subscribers. Ooh. Excellent. That is nice. Let's continue to climb as we build up our fine station, and we appreciate everybody who's joined us in the just over 2 years that we have been in operation and existed. So let's put that up, tell your friends, all that good stuff. All right, let's get into starting lineups as Cass is getting set to join us for Game Changers. For the Oilers, McDavid with Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Draisaitl between Podkolzin and Savoy. Henrique with Mangiapane and Janmark. Lazar between Frederick and Clattenburg. Ekholm paired up with Bouchard. Nurse with Regula. Kulak with Emerson. No David Tomashek tonight for the Oil. As for the Seattle Kraken, here's what we're anticipating from them. Matty Beniers with Jared McCann and Jordan Eberle. Shane Wright centering Yanni Newman and Capo Kakko. Chandler Stevenson with Berkeley Catton and Eli Tolvanen on his flanks. Then Frederick Gaudreau, who got into that fight with Connor Clattenburg on Saturday. He'll be centering Ty Karche and Ryan Winterton. On defense for Seattle tonight, Vince Dunn paired up with Adam Larson. Ryan Lindgren with Brandon Montour. And then Jamie Alexiak with Riker Evans. No Cale Fleury, no Josh Mahura for the Kraken. I'm assuming Hersey, who is related to Mahura, I believe they're brothers, if I'm not mistaken. Hersey, if you're listening, send us a line. Let us know if you're headed to the game. I'm assuming you've been hanging out with family all day long. Your starting goalies for tonight. For the Oilers, 33-year-old Calvin Pickard, 2-3-2, 404 goals against average, 847 save percentage in 9 games this season. His last appearance was that loss, not this past Tuesday, but 2 Tuesdays ago, to the Dallas Stars. Nobody played good in that game. And then Pickard's last start was November 20th in Tampa, where he was excellent, except they lost 2-1 in overtime, and the Oilers gave up that goal with 2.5 minutes left. It was Pinto who scored, and then they lost in OT after that crazy sequence where Vasilevsky made an unbelievable save.
You said Pinto, Nick Paul.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Nick Paul. Yeah. I get all those Senators guys. That's my bad. There's Norris is in Buffalo now, and Batherson's still kicking around. You know how they had that cluster of guys. Apologies for not knowing my former Ottawa Senators. Yes, Nick Paul, big body, good, solid move, power move to the net, and scored on Calvin Pickard. Anyway. That was a few weeks ago. For the Kraken, we're anticipating 29-year-old Joey Decord, 7-5-4 on the season, 268 goals against average, 902 save percentage, 2 shutouts in 16 games this season. Decord versus Edmonton lifetime, 2-7-1 mark, 340 goals against average, 890 save percentage in 11 games versus the Oilers. That takes us to the Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy Injury Report. Connor McDavid's got a team of specialists. You have a bag of frozen peas. Get the same locker room approach that's trusted by the best in the game at Advantage Sport Medicine. Book your assessment today, www.advantagesportmed.ca, or call 780-460-9977. For the Oilers, Jack Roslovic, he's out for the next couple of weeks. Jake Wallman, day-to-day undisclosed. Noah Philp, LTIR upper body. Kasperi Kapanen, LTIR knee. Re-aggravated it at practice a few days ago. As for Seattle, Mason Marchment, who you heard Benny talking about, day-to-day undisclosed. Jaden Schwartz, IR, lower body. So there you go. There is your Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy Injury Report. Go see the crew over at Advantage Sport Medicine at AdvantageSportMed.ca, or call 780-460-9977 as we welcome in our game analyst, Matt Kassian. Is Cass even there?
I don't think so.
Oh, boy. There he is. Why do you have a black screen, Cass?
You know what? I just realized that my wife stole the camera, and it must be on the computer upstairs. I just assumed it was working. So give me 30 seconds, and I'll be right back. So I'm going to hit mute, and I'm going to plug the camera in. I did not even realize that. I just anticipated it was going to be working. She did not tell me. But
are you doing the show in the dark, you weirdo?
I am.
Okay, Cass will be right back. All right, Betty, let's get to some texts. Norman at Combine says, fight, fight, fight. Yes, Norm, I wouldn't mind seeing that. That would be good. And then who sent this? Who sent this in? Tommy's idea of rough play is slaps Jerry and George slapping each other. And then a couple of, it looks like young brothers also slapping at each other. That is not what I consider rough play, so stop that.
There's in the nasty chat, Chris G mentions that he picked up his new suit at Modern Measure.
Oh, nice, Chris G. How is it?
There you go. He says he's looking sharp. So
excellent. The boys, they take good care of everyone, and they like it when people are going there and they hear about them from us on Hello Hockey. And I think Dusty also did a few suits over there, and I think there's kind of more happening with Richie and Jared. So Love it, Chris G. Enjoy. That thing's going to fit you like a glove, brother. The boys at Modern, Jared and Richie, do phenomenal work. Okay. I had one other text that I want to get to. Cass is getting all set up here. He has his camera back. This one says, very important the Oilers assert themselves physically tonight. I think they will engage guys like Frederick and Mangiapane, who have been struggling to find their game. Oilers need to manage the puck tonight. Seattle has a hard time creating offense. No need to gift them any opportunities. Enjoy the game, guys. Thank you very much. Oh, God. I'm watching the text line. Text line, you guys are silly. I love it. This one says, it's from Nick. Excited to see what happens tonight for the Oilers. Played 2 games where they were the better team. Curious to see if they could do it again and get those 2 points. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate the text very much. Keep those coming in. 780-218-9999. And Benny, now that we have Cass, thumbs up. Yes, sir. There he is. Oh, you look great. There you go. That's hilarious. So Mandy took the camera, hey?
I didn't even realize it. I did not even look up. I just assumed that it was fine because why would I move it? But we're good. It's all right. I should have checked. So ultimately, it's on me.
No, it's all good. That was funny. Anyway, so Benny, throw out the question of the night one more time. I kind of want to know what Cass thinks.
So my question of the night is, do you expect any rough stuff, any physicality or just fights or anything of that matter coming into tonight's game after what we saw between these two teams just a couple days ago?
Yeah, I think it's still fresh enough that you're going to see a little bit of that. Now, Marchment not being in the lineup, I think that maybe cools the temperature a little bit because if there's a driver for that on the Seattle team, he's it. Like he's kind of the guy in that forward group in particular. Like and hey, I love it to have him on my team. That like he's the guy that's kind of in people's faces, bumping guys, you know, always chittering, always around it. Like he really drives that emotion for that group. That being said, it's still fresh enough that I think a lot of the players, particularly for the Oilers, they're still going to be feeling that a little bit. And I think coming out of that game against Minnesota, where they probably deserved in a lot of ways to win, but didn't, I think there's going to be some angst from that too. So yeah, I would anticipate it's going to be a scrappy, chippy little game. Although again, maybe not quite as much as it would have been if Marchment was in the lineup.
Tom, your mic's gone.
No, he's muted. That's okay. That's a classic.
I'm good. Here I am. Sorry, my bad. I pulled a cast. No Mason Marchment for the Kraken tonight. Sorry, I was playing around with other stuff. Yeah, so we'll see if chittering. I love when you say chittering, Cass. It's a good one. Yeah, and it's the third time that they're playing each other. We're going into game 28 here, so there should be a little bit of spunk between these two teams. Cass, we didn't have you on Tuesday night. What'd you think of that game against the Minnesota Wild?
Yeah, I thought they played a good game. They outplayed Minnesota. You had a goalie that has been, and not just feeling it. I don't want to say it's like, oh, Edmonton just got goalied, because I don't think they just got goalied. They didn't force the issue, but they played a solid game. Very solid defensively. They played a patient game, maybe a little bit too patient at times. They deserve to win, though. I think they played a good game. They deserve to win. You have a goalie that's feeling all kinds of special and playing all kinds of special right now, and you weren't able to find a way to crack it. Again, they didn't force the issue. I think they could have done a better job shooting, better job of getting to the middle of the ice, which is, at times hard to do against the Minnesota Wild with their defense. And then you got a goaltender who's playing really well too. So It was a solid game from Edmonton. One of those ones I think people would be less disappointed if this was like game 5 of the season and you lose like that. You're like, all right, no big deal, right? You play that game 5 games in, 7 games in, or, you're 20 games in and you're, 12-6-2. Everyone's looking at that game going like, no big deal. Now with where this team is at, people are looking at this going like, you got to find a way to win those ones,
right?
Which I understand, but overall, it was a positive and a continuing step in the right direction for the Oilers.
Now, I passed this along to Dusty this morning. I don't know if he got to it on either Two Guys or slipped it in on the Nielsen show, but the stuff with Wallstedt, because I know a lot of Oilers fans were lamenting the Oilers didn't take him in the draft, traded down, picked Bourgault, obviously a bust. I texted my buddy Uffe Bodin because I was told that there was like character issues with Jesper Wallstedt, and other people had heard that too, and there was discussion around it, and some hadn't heard that. So I messaged my good buddy Uffe Bodin, who covers obviously the SHL and then a lot of NHL stuff. He is with Elite Prospects. He's one of the guys that's been there from the beginning. He's good friends with Peter Sibner. So Uffe knows Swedish hockey inside and out. And I said, am I crazy? I was told this about Jesper Wallstedt. And he wrote back, he said, good to hear from you, Tom. Jesper had a reputation of being lazy and only living on talent. I had a sit down with him this summer. He was open about the fact that he had to mature quite a bit. I think last year was a wake-up call for him in terms of realizing that he had to get his act together and really focus on how to maximize his potential. Seems like he has done just that. And I also heard the Red Wings had similar issues on Wallstedt and went with Kosa instead. So that's from my good buddy and Swedish reporter Uffe Bodin, who has been with Hockey Spheres and does a lot of SHL and NHL coverage. Great guy, great reporter, and great insight. So there you go. So that's it's legit. It's a thing. And I just wanted to get more information on it for people because they were like, what the hell is this? So we can move on now. Let's go to Game Changers. Game Changers is always brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, consistent top producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 18 years. He's community driven and understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Please check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Cass numero uno, reunited.
That reunited top line, best line for the Oilers last year, I think. Seem to remember them being that. Anyways,
pretty darn good.
Yep.
Pretty darn good. Maybe the most consistent line the last couple of seasons for the Edmonton Oilers in Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Connor McDavid, and Zach Hyman reunited for the first time this year. Now, they haven't been very many games that all three of these guys have been on the ice together. And guys, we were talking about it on the pod this afternoon, and I was like, I'm here for this. I'm here for this. A group that is struggling a little bit offensively 5-on-5. Now they play a good game, and sometimes you play a good game, and then especially with this Oilers group, it's like you blow up all the lines, everything's wrong, and it's like you're trying to fix everything. But this move doesn't feel like a panic move in that. I think this is more, you look at this going like, hey, we do need to find some more offense. Here's a line that has given us something pretty reliably in the past. We've had a chance to get Hyman back up to speed. He's playing. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins back up to speed. He's playing. Why not give this to our centerman, our top centerman, our captain, our best player in the world, and put him with two guys we know he's comfortable with, that we know he can generate offense with. Like, and if McDavid, and it certainly seems to be, if he's struggling with confidence in putting the puck away in the back of the net, if he's not feeling that, I think this is a pretty good way to do it without having to hit that nuclear option. So I'm here for it. It does take away some of that depth on your third and fourth lines. But where it makes sense to me in a game like tonight is Seattle, they're a score by committee team, and they're not an overpowering team by any sense of the word. No, they try to play a consistent game. They try to play a team game. They try to play a steady, check hard in the defensive zone, make it difficult for you, clog things up, and try to capitalize on some opportunities that they get team. But it's not like They don't have McDavid. They don't have a Draisaitl.
Right.
They don't have that absolute stud superstar forward or that stud line that just carries this team. And so I think if you're Knobloch looking at this, another reason I like it is you're kind of saying, hey, they got their third and fourth lines, they're grind lines. They're grind lines.
Yes.
And if we can maybe soup up that top line a little bit more, maybe try to get a little bit more out of McDavid, if our grind lines in our third and fourth line, and we have last change here at home, by the way, but if our third and fourth lines, if we can put them out there and they're even or better, and that moving Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to that top line brings the best out of McDavid that we haven't seen in a little bit, and maybe is a confidence boost for him or comfort, familiarity, I like the move. So I'm here for this. I'm not a fan of them moving the lines all the time, of doing things different all the time. But to me, I'm like, this isn't searching for something different. This isn't searching for something like, hey, who knew that this was going to work, right? Like, this is something that has worked and worked well in the past. Players that are comfortable with one another, and you're in a situation where you don't necessarily need Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on that third line today against Seattle. So I'm here for this move. I think it's a good one, and I like that we're going to get that top line, at least for the first 5 minutes. Who knows after that?
What's funny is we joked about that yesterday on Oil Stream. We're like, well, but you never know. A couple minutes in could be completely different. So, Nugent-Hopkins reunited with Hyman and McDavid. All right, point number 2 on Game Changers. Cass, golden opportunities.
Yeah. How about let's not pass those up anymore, huh? McDavid very pointedly, and I think very accurately, commented about his own game and that there's some opportunities in that game against Minnesota. He passed up.
Yes.
He passed up trying to force a couple plays. And the challenging thing is McDavid's one of the few players in the world where you're like, yeah, you can force plays because he's good enough to make some of those plays. Just like Leon Draisaitl, a player like myself should not on a rush be trying to throw a backhand sauce cross ice. Like, that's not a tool in my toolkit I should be trying to use. But for Leon Draisaitl, well, now he shouldn't be using it all the time, but on occasion, he should be able to try to make those plays. As if for McDavid, on occasion, even in a high danger scoring chance opportunity, there should be sometimes he tries to make a pass because it could be a tap and goal if it's successful. That being said, he's been relying on that a little bit too much. And I think teams are cheating on it. Goaltenders are cheating on it a little bit. And so we want to see from McDavid in particular, when you have opportunities in those high danger areas, let's let her rip. Let her rip, bud, as they say in Northern Alberta. I don't know if that was a great Northern Alberta accent, but I tried.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Eh?
Rip. Let her rip.
Oh, bud.
Let her rip, bud.
Yeah.
McDavid needs to do that, and the whole team follows behind that, because for as much as we don't want to say hockey is a game of follow the leader, it can be a game of follow the leader. And for as much as you tell over and over and over your role-playing players, hey, let McDavid be McDavid, you do what you do well, let him do that. Some of that can bleed out, particularly if a team's not producing offense. Because if your top guys aren't finding ways to produce offense and they're trying to make those plays and it isn't quite working, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes those role-playing guys are like, hey, we need offense still. We're not winning these games. We're not producing 5-5, so I guess I got to do something. And then they just kind of follow the same pattern that the top guys are doing and trying to maybe overpass it, overthink it, do a little bit too much. And that's, compounded with the fact that it's like you get this, a lack of confidence, and then you're squeezing a little bit more, and then you're second guessing yourself, and then you're like, and you just kind of you make those plays instead of being definitive what you're trying to do. And I'm glad that they're talking about it and talking about it publicly, not just internally, but it's being addressed publicly now. I think that's a good thing. Naming it, bring it to the light, let almost. It loses some of its power. And that's actually a real confidence thing. It's like, no, naming that thing out loud, saying it out loud, the thing that you're dealing with, that you're struggling with, that you're challenged by currently, it gives, it takes away some of its ability to control you and to hold over you. And, it applies for a lot of other things. But I think in this situation for the Oilers, it's a nice little way for us as fans to have Maybe us a little stressed about it because it's like, oh, they recognize that it's a problem, even though they obviously did. Yeah. And for the players, it's a nice thing for them to talk about it, to be like, yeah, no, this is an issue. We name it because now I name it. Now I got to be accountable to it.
Right.
And that's the big part of it, because now that Connor McDavid has said that, the follow-up questions, if all of a sudden there's golden opportunities and they're not taken, is, well, hey, you said this was an issue. Why is it still an issue?
Right.
So it creates some accountability there as well. So it's I think a good thing. And ultimately for a team that hasn't been scoring a lot of goals 5-on-5, the Edmonton Oilers, being outscored a lot 5-on-5, the Edmonton Oilers, they got to find a way to sort this out. And, I've never been a fan of, on the power play, for example, when everyone's like, shoot. I'm like, it's not like, I know you feel that sometimes, but that's not, but not on the power play. I think that kind of mentality, when we see the Oilers with the puck in the slot in a prime location and they're holding on to it, looking for a play, trying to find that pretty backdoor pass and put it over a stick, under a stick, between someone's legs to get it to somebody.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that when you're struggling to score. Now, if you're popping off 4, 5, 6 goals a night and the team is feeling it, and other teams are like, oh my goodness, we can't stop this team's offense, then yeah, go ahead and do it, but not right now. So golden opportunities for the Oilers. If you got them, don't let them go. Don't let them go. Give yourself a chance. Put the puck to the net. Make something happen.
I believe during that diatribe, we also got a reference to the great book, The Secret.
Yeah, I have my issues with that book. Actually, a lot of issues with that book. It's kind of a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
Yes.
Because I can't, I could believe all the kinds of things into existence, and well, if you truly believe, then that will happen. No, that's not. No, I can truly believe that I have a 6-pack. And I don't have a 6-pack. Oh boy, if you truly believed you would have a 6-pack.
Yes.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not a freaking secret either. Like, oh, you mean if you believe something and you believe that you're going to get $1 million and you can work, you're more likely to do things that are going to. Anyways, but I guess the truth of it is like, yeah, well, you start naming it and you start speaking those things and being like, I'm going to shoot more. I'm going to shoot more. I'm going to shoot more. Well, yeah, it's like you're more likely to start to do it because you're thinking about it. You're pushing that way. You're setting goals and objectives to do it more. So yeah, there's naturally going to be a flow towards that. But yeah, I really believed I had a 6-pack and I woke up this morning and I didn't. So something's going on.
Thank God your dream board is off camera.
Yeah. It's not my dream board, brother. My wife's dream board for me, but not mine.
Oh, I'm kidding. All right. It's Game Changers with a feisty and fired up Matt Kassian. Point 1 was reunited. Point 2, golden opportunities. Point 3, Cass Pickardly.
Throwing him in. Had a good game, really good game against Seattle last time, and I think that's the thought behind this, is he had a good game against them. Mm-hmm. Let's put him back in. Now, Skinner, 2 really solid games. Gets a shutout, and then pitches a 1-goal outing against the Minnesota Wild. And it's not like I didn't love the goal against Minnesota.
Right.
At the same time, he let in 1, and your team scored 0.
Yes.
So you can't pin that on him at all. That being said, I think it's a good decision. You have a guy that has played well against Seattle that you want to keep involved in, Calvin Pickard, and he steps into the net. Now, according to the Nasty Chat, someone in there said he's going to score 3 goals tonight, like himself, score on Seattle, 3 goals, and the third will be an empty netter, which kind of sums up how some people feel about him. I don't know if he necessarily needs to do all that. However, it is important, I think, for him to pitch a good game here, because you've started to get some of those from the tandem as a whole, like from Stuart Skinner, where he's starting to have a couple good games in a row here. Mm-hmm. The last thing this team needs is to have a rough outing from a goalie, because that momentum has started to build. Now that momentum has started to build for Stuart Skinner too, and maybe a little bit for Pickard, but it's his opportunity here to just continue that progress. And what I wouldn't want to see happen, and I wouldn't say it's a fear. I don't have a fear of this, but what I wouldn't want to see happen, guys, is for the goaltending to have a lousy game tonight and just kind of, see everything that they've been building the last couple of games come crumbling all down.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. Benny, you got any questions or thoughts with Cass still here?
Yeah, just back to your topic of the McDavid shooting more. I just wanted to relate that to his time, the last time they played Seattle. And there was a play in the third period where Connor is on a 2-on-1 with Hyman. Savoy made a play in the D zone to break up a pass, and they go the other way. And I wonder if goalies are aware that Connor isn't shooting the puck as much, because how the whole play developed is McDavid gets the puck on kind of by the side of the net, and he has Savoy coming and Hyman back door. And Decor did not go to McDavid at all. He basically let that whole side of the net wide open for him to score, which he obviously goes and does it. I wonder if now that maybe goalies are starting to realize that Connor is not shooting the puck as much, that this is the prime time to shoot the puck now for Connor McDavid. Goalies maybe won't be expecting it from you anymore because now you're such a pass first guy. If he starts ripping the puck out of nowhere and firing everything he sees, I think it could lead to more goals for him coming up over the next little while here. And I mean, they're playing the same goalie that had that that read on him last game. So I'm curious to see how it goes with him.
Cass, anything to add to that?
No, I think there's a lot of truth in that. That the mind game for goalies could be real if McDavid does start to shoot, because he is a pass first player, and to a certain extent he always will be, because again, he's one of the few guys in the world that can make passes like he makes them. Right. Like there's no one else that or very few people that can do that and do it the way that he does. And so there always will be a little bit of that pass first mentality. But if now all of a sudden he starts to shoot a little bit more in those high danger areas, and this is why he just opens it up so much for him, is all of a sudden, not just the goalie starts feeling that, thinking that, second guessing that, maybe cheating to the pass now, like when they have to respect the shot, well, it's just that extra half inch, right? That extra lean in posture that takes a tenth of a second longer to get somewhere, that opens things up. Right, so it's a real thing. So I agree with Benny.
I'll leave you with this text that came in at 780-218-9999 is the text line. Cass has a six-pack. He just got it covered up to keep warm. It is December.
It's true. It's chilly out there. Speaking of, if you're on the roads, not that I anticipate you're driving crazy, but just slow down. Be safe. It's going to be a little dicey out there tonight.
Yes.
So be safe.
Good message, Cass, and we'll see what happens tonight between the Oilers and the Kraken. It was golden opportunities, Pickard Lee, and reunited. Let's see how that all plays out. Good stuff, my friend. Enjoy the game, and we'll catch up with you on the postgame show, okay?
Thanks, boys. See you soon.
There you go. There's our game analyst, Matt Kassian, with Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, now with The Agency. This text says, Benny's chin strap is elite. You're a beauty, Benny. That's from Munchmaster Flex.
I've been trying to grow this mustache, okay? It is not a chin strap. Just kidding. Well, it kind of is, but I trim.
You got a compliment.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. It took multiple months of growing, and now it's gotten to a point where I can just have the same clip setting and everything. It's
called a guard.
A guard, sorry. Yeah, you know.
There you go. I got you.
But yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm trying to make it more of a beard. Problem is these two don't connect. So I gotta wait a little bit.
I have that pain, and I'm 40 years old, so don't worry about it. You're gonna be just fine. Plus, I have blonde facial hair. It's patchy. It looks like someone threw dirt on my face when I let it grow. So after 2 days, it just looks raggedy. You're doing just fine, Benny. You're doing just fine. All right. We're going to go into the Oilers locker room. We're going to hear from Chris Knobloch. And then on the other side of that, we will catch up with Mike Benton from the Kraken Audio Network. Here is the head coach.
No, Calvin Pickard.
Calvin Pickard. All right, with the improved defensive play over the last couple of games, what is the next step for your group to fully find the game?
I think we can still get better with the puck, moving the puck up the ice together. It wasn't perfect the other night, but I thought we managed the puck pretty well against Minnesota. We did have some turnovers, but I liked how we responded to those turnovers and were able to defend right away and not exposing the middle of the ice. But I think we can still get sharper and just work the puck up better. together just to have a little more speed and be a little more dangerous.
A little bit of a shake-up with the lineup, and particularly with the top six. What are you looking for out of that six-man unit?
Yeah, we just moved Nuggy from 3C to back with Connor, and just with just them being familiar with each other, them playing against other teams' top lines. Nuge is obviously a very good defensive player. So is Savvy, but I think it just gives a little more stability there. And but like I said, we're going to see Ryan play some center, not be locked in at left wing through the year or even through this game. I just think it's nice for him to play in that position because I think he plays his best hockey in the middle.
Chris, you've got a lot of guys right now in your bottom six that are struggling to produce it at 5-on-5, 18, 19 games. Some guys got 1 goal, some guys got none. How do you get the group in that bottom six going offensively?
Yeah, I think it's simplicity. Just throwing pucks to the net and looking for rebounds. That's the majority of the goals. It's not something fancy. It certainly don't want to add an extra pass. Goalies don't let in many bad goals, but it does happen once in a while. But it's usually coming from chaos, and whether that chaos is from a tip or just a rebound. But I think those guys who haven't scored can simplify their game and just get to the net a little more.
Chris, you guys have had a tough schedule, obviously, in terms of how many road games you've played up to this point. Do you feel like there's a little bit of more, urgency or whatever you want to call it, to have a good homestand here and now that you have a few home games in a row?
Well, I think whether we're at home or on the road, I think there should be urgency to get back in the playoff picture and get above just winning more hockey games. It is nice being home. I think for a couple of reasons. One, that we are at home, that we like playing here. It's nice to be in Rogers, playing in front of our fans. That's one of it. But with the schedule now that we are home, we're not traveling so much. We also get more practice time that we can work on things in our game, which, first 7 weeks of the season, we've had very little time to do.
Is there always a concern you don't want the backup to sit too long before they come in, and then that puts them even in a more awkward predicament if it's 10 days or 2 weeks? Or
yeah, for a couple of reasons. Yeah, you don't want them sitting too long, and also with the way we could absolutely go back with Stuart Skinner. We didn't play the other day, and he's playing really well. He could have had this game, but picks, you don't want him going too long without having a game, but also how well he played his last one in Tampa Bay. He was, a couple minutes away from having a shutout, having a spectacular game. Unfortunately, we gave up a goal late and they scored in the overtime, but, I think he deserves not to be sitting and he should have another start.
All right, for the second time in less than a week, which is fantastic, but because he's great, that's why. We bring in from the Kraken Audio Network, Mike Benton, our old friend. Mike, the Kraken have not played since that game on Saturday. It was a good game for the Oilers that afternoon. Tough one from the Kraken's point of view. People in Edmonton gave Oilers the praise that they deserved, but they also said, hey, it felt like the Kraken didn't play their best game. How do you look at it?
I think certainly there is some merit on both sides, Tom. And I kind of go back and think of how different this game could have looked and maybe progressed if the Kraken were able to convert on a 5-on-3 late in period one, because Edmonton had just penalty issues galore in the opening 20, 21, 22 minutes. But special teams have been an issue recently, if not all season, on the Kraken side. So you go through a stretch like that where you're trying to pound one in, you go through a dry spell offensively, and then Nugent Hopkins gets one, and it's a totally different game after that. And then when Draisaitl puts them up 2-0 in the second period, that's where things begin to get pretty treacherous. And it was one of those games I thought, just based on getting Stuart Skinner in net, his struggles as well. The Kraken had to pop one early, and Ty Cartier had a great look back in period one, but couldn't finish off the rush. And so, you I know, goaltending, all it takes is to get a couple of shots on net, your confidence gets going, and then just kind of snowballs from there, and that's where Skinner made a big difference. He had a very, very impressive save. Give credit where credit is due to Berkeley Catton on him back in the second period. That could have been Catton's first NHL goal, and a long way to one as well. So I really think aside from that, 5-on-5, not too bad of an effort on the Kraken side. It's just been, the special teams part of it that's been a big issue here, and that was one of the few focal points they had for the few days off at practice from this past week.
Hey, schedule-wise, this is a bit weird for Seattle because, Edmonton has had a game in the time in between, a tough 1-0 loss to Minnesota. They got caught by the wall of St. Paul, and he was certainly fantastic, Jesper Wallstedt, but the time off that the Kraken have had since that game, how have they utilized it, and what's Lane Lambert been focusing on with this group?
Well, they had a team party for an off day on Sunday to kind of recalibrate the Christmas side of it, and then after that, get back to work on Monday. And this is actually tied for the second longest break on the calendar, and the only one longer than what they've had is basically the Olympic break. The holiday break coming up in a few weeks is going to be just as long as what they've had here. So that's a lot of time to really sit around and try to prevent yourself from stewing over that 4-0 loss from this last weekend. So Lane Lambert and crew try to really mix things up, not just technically, but also emotionally as well. Compete's been a big, big buzzword for him. When they're at their best, there's really little to no space on the ice for the opposition. So they really concentrated on small area games at points here for practice this last week. They even drafted a couple of teams, split them up, and the captains were actually a couple of young players, Shane Wright and Berkeley Catton, and they relish in it. And we heard a lot of audible noise come out of the guys last couple days just from those small area games, just to kind of inject some life and some juice right back into them. So I think that was a big step in the right direction. A lot of power play time. Jared McCann told me offensively, as far as what they want to get back to and working for their offense, it's a lot of one and dones in the offensive zone. So that's a big compete thing, and they're trying to kind of get back to the bedrock and the foundations of that here for the last few days.
Hey, those area games are fun. They're also fun to watch too. They're better than D2D regroups and forechecking drills. All right, Mike Benton from the Kraken Audio Network joining us as we get you set for Edmonton and Seattle, third of 4 meetings this season. And it won't be Stu Skinner tonight. It's going to be Calvin Pickard for the Oilers. I'm assuming it's Joey Decord. It was optional today for Seattle down at Rogers Place. And then the other news really is Mason Marchment. You and I were talking about injuries going into that game, and now it's Mason Marchment who's on the shelf, and that's an issue, and that's a concern after Jaden Schwartz went down with an injury. What's the latest on Marchment, and what can you tell us about this lineup going into tonight?
Well, Lane Lambert is hoping that it's just going to be a one-game issue, and he's back here on this weekend when the Kraken host Detroit coming up on Saturday. But, nonetheless, Jaden Schwartz has killed the Oilers last few years. That's a big loss, not just for this matchup here, but just for, I think, really how he sets the tone fundamentally in how they play. He's become a real emotional linchpin, I think, in that room, a very stabilizing force, if you will, where he's out of the mix, but not just that, it's the foundation of how he plays. He makes a simple plays in the neutral zone, and he goes right toward the front of the net each and every time, which is where this team wants to live offensively for much of the season. So that's really a big, big loss that they're trying to overcome as of right now. And then you get to Marchment, who has been up and down with his offense for this season. But, you go back and think, look, you want to question the Darnell Nurse hit, go ahead, fine. But, there's really no denying on how much it left the Oilers really, I think, in a scurry. They were chasing him all around the rink, and so that was kind of an added deterrent, I thought, for about a couple of periods where, he was able to throw them off their game emotionally. Now, the Oilers overcame it, but still, that kind of presence has been something missing in the Kraken lineup for much of their tenure so far in the NHL, if not all the way, going back here to year one. So that's a bit of a difference. Now, I think it could maybe sway the emotions of this game where it's a little more tempered here for this evening. definitely a wait and see thing. Obviously, hockey players have long memories here, and but nonetheless, he's out of the mix. So it's forced Lane Lambert to shuffle the lineup. And I think if I'm reading between the lines from what I saw in practice, you may see Jared McCann up here with Matty Beniers and Jordan Eberle. That's by design to kind of get some offense going right back once again. A couple things that also stuck out to me: Berkeley Catton was playing up on the left wing, and he's looked terrific last couple of games. He's looked more confident with the puck. He's had more polish with the puck, great decisions as well. He arguably had the best 2 scoring chances in that game this last Saturday. And then, the feeling here is that it's a matter of time before he finally pops one in. The only question is, where's it going to come from? Him playing in the middle or on the left wing? And there's a difference, of course, in how you're able to operate offensively. And he's been shuffled around a lot between those 2 positions early in this season. But he's been given more trust by Lane Lambert to try to find some offense with a couple of veterans, namely in the middle here with Chandler Stevenson. And then I think we're in the mix to see Yanni Newman also back in. He's been a scratch for 4 of the last 5 games. And Lane Lambert still told us this week there's a belief that he's got a long-term future as a top 6 NHL forward. That shot is already major league quality. Yep. It's the details and the defense he's had to work on in his first full NHL season. So that could be an added dynamic here. He's a big body, and the more that they can use him on the inside, the greater looks that they could really have in finally breaking through offensively here.
Hey, Mike, the Kraken haven't won since November 22nd at Pittsburgh. I know they've had a bunch of time off here, like you alluded to. Can you sense an anxiousness or maybe an irritation and a willingness to get back into the win column? Could they be a little bit feisty tonight?
As far as the anxiety part of this, the answer for me, Tom, is no. As far as feistiness, I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with a little more jump and a little more jam. Now, I mean, there's 2 schools of thought about this on the ladder. And I think first off, some juice is great on the road, but you don't want to wake the sleeping giant. That is the Edmonton Oilers at home. And the way the Kraken are able to play with their structure, the more they are able to kind of lay out their game, pardon the expression, amidst calm waters. Now, if you want to call it boring hockey, fine. A lot of folks here don't care. They just care about wins. But, the more tempered their game is, I think the better off that they're going to be, especially when it comes to maintaining discipline, staying out of the box. I mean, the PK has been a big sore spot here, and they've taken a few on the chin here from the Oilers' power play, which is basically back to full restoration here at this point. The anxiety for me, I thought, was little to non-existent from this past week. I think the off day Sunday certainly helped out, getting their back out with families, recalibrating, and then back to work as well on Monday. And just going around the room, it just kind of felt like business as usual. I think that's a big testimony to Lane Lambert and what he's put in. Calmness, stability, and discipline, I think, are of the few core values that really stick out to him and his ability to communicate as a coach. And I think by this point of the season, Tom, a lot of us know, despite how clumped it is right now in the Western Conference, you are who you are. This is part of the Kraken MO, is a non-wavering identity. And I think that's been very, very important to try to get themselves restored back here for this game after what was previously 4 days off.
Kraken looking for their first win in 6 tries here in Edmonton, 0-4-1 since 2023, and they're going to be feisty. You know who brings the jump and the jam? You, Mike Benton, always, and it's always appreciated. Thanks for the time, brother. Have a great broadcast this evening.
Following in your footsteps, Tom. Thank you. Appreciate it.
There he is, Mike Benton. Great guy. Always a pleasure to have him on the show. Big thank you to him for stopping by a little bit earlier on, and we slided in there so very nicely. Good work, Benny Thomson. Nicely done, buddy. Yeah. All right, we've got a few minutes left here. If you want to text us, 780-218-9999. We get you set for the Oilers and the Kraken. Oil looking to bounce back after that 1-0 loss to Minnesota on Tuesday. Benny, anything you want to add before we wind this thing down?
No, I want to emphasize that the Oilers, with their struggle at the start of the year, I think it was very fortunate for them, for one, the Pacific teams not to have gone out of reach, right? They don't have Minnesota, Dallas, or Colorado in their division. They're chasing after the Ducks. And the fact that they weren't struggling against Pacific teams for the most part. They have a lot of 4-point games that they can make up throughout the rest of this season where, it's been a rough start for them, but they can really turn things around with winning games like these. You won against Seattle last time. If you can do it again, that's great. I think that there's higher stakes in these Pacific division games. And so I think they can capitalize on that tonight and make it a 4-point game.
This is just the 6th game against a Pacific Division team for the Oilers, and that's a good point. Lots of 4-point games coming up. This is one of them. Edmonton 2-1-2 against the Pacific Division so far this season. This is game 28 of the season for the Oil. As for Seattle, 4-2 is its record against the Pacific Division, and they have not played since that loss to the Oilers on Saturday. I'm going to just get people up to speed on what happened around the National Hockey League so far. 10 games on the schedule. Boston leading St. Louis 5-1 after 2. The Rangers up 3-1 after 2 in Ottawa. Pittsburgh up 3-1 after 2 in Tampa. Florida hosting Nashville 1-0 Panthers after 2. The Islanders up 5-2 on Colorado. That's a bit of a surprise, although the Islanders have had a decent year. That's after 2. Also going into the third period, Carolina trailing Toronto 4-1. And then midway through the second period, Columbus leads Detroit 3-2. Calgary hosting Minnesota. And LA gets Chicago in the late game. Oilers welcoming in the Seattle Kraken for the first time this season. Edmonton's been to Seattle a couple of times. They will also get the Kraken on March 31st. Let's get to your game day odds check, brought to you by our good friends and presenting sponsor of EST, Play Alberta. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta, safe and secure. The revenue generated from Play Alberta is redirected into Alberta's General Revenue Fund, which is used to support programs and services that Albertans rely on every day. The EST Sports has been refreshed. That's a $50 deposit, $50 free bet. Of course, you could do EST Casino. $50 deposit gets you a $50 casino bonus. Your money line for tonight, Edmonton -213 over at Play Alberta. Seattle +177. The over-under set at 5.5. The over at -130. The under at -101. That is your game day odds check, brought to you by Play Alberta. Just checking to see if we've got any texts. This one says, Oilers A1, despite taking a bunch of penalties. Ekholm scores a goal. That's a bold prediction.
Wow.
A very bold prediction. All right, final thoughts for you, Ben Thomson.
Take care of business. Take care of business against a team that you can gather some good points on, the Pacific Division. Have some fight in your game tonight. Let's see an orange and blue win tonight. Let's go.
Abutski with the BTO reference. Well done, Abutski. And you jumped all over that. Nicely done in the nasty chat. Let's see. Quaddy says less perimeter. Oilers less perimeter. And then adds cash and smash and mash the net. Use elbows, Ace. Yes, use those elbows a la Kenny Linsman. Let's see if the Oilers can make it 2 wins against the Kraken in the span of less than a week. A very good performance on Saturday. Solid game for the Oilers Tuesday against Minnesota. Obviously couldn't score. They'll look to get back to their winning ways once again against the Seattle Kraken. A huge thank you to Mike Benton from the Kraken Audio Network for hopping on. Always insightful, always pleasant, great broadcaster all around. So big thanks to Mike and to everybody who watched, everybody who listened. You know we appreciate you. Thank you so much to those who texted in and jumped into the nasty chat. That's going to do it for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. We'll see what happens between the Oilers and the Kraken, and when it's all said and done, we'll be right back here on EST for the post-game show. Join myself, Benny Thompson, Matty Kassian, and Reed Wilkins. For Benny and Cass, I'm Tommy saying see you in a couple hours.